welcome to the global press conference for Nope. And with a man that doesn't need presentation, the writer, director, producer, the man himself, Jordan Peele. Thank you so much, Jordan. Despite and on top of the high expectations, the anticipation, I was completely blown away by what I saw last night. So thank you so much. I really believe you're a breath of fresh air in the industry and in the art. And there are many people all over the world very excited to talk to you. So we're just gonna get going. And I would like to
Thank you so much. That's wonderful.
Yeah. I would just like to start by asking you what inspired you to write and make this movie.
So many things, as you can tell, it's quite full, and I think I'll answer it in a simple way, which is I always look for something that doesn't exist, for a film that I wish I could see for the first time, and in this case, it was a truly horrifying UFO film. In which we're really able to be immersed into the situation, like some of my favorite films. So yeah, that was the nugget, and I was like, I got to make this. In fact, I have a responsibility to movies to make this movie.
We have a question from Bailey Briggs. He says, Jordan, you're one of the only directors who can quite literally release a film, not tell anyone what it's about, and still have people lining up to see it. Why do you think that is?
Wow, that I don't know. I'm very pleased. I think that there is a love that I have for the audience that is born out of my past in comedy, where as a comedian, I want the entire room laughing. It's not enough. It's not enough to just get that corner of the room. Sometimes that's nice, but you're really funny if you can get the whole audience. And so, I don't know. I don't discriminate with my audience, and I assume that they love movies the same way I do.
I mentioned before that you're a breath of fresh air in the industry and in the art. And we have a question here from Daniel Kaluuya from the Netherlands. It says, after Get Out and Us, your films are often seen as a subgenre on their own. How do you deal with the expectations when creating new work?
I think of the expectations as gifts. It's the only way you can. Otherwise, you're going to be, I think, smothered and unwound by overthought. But for me to sort of taking control of what I think the expectations are gives me a sense of power when I'm crafting a story, because the more I know about what an audience is thinking and what they're expecting, the more ability I have to try to deliver on that or flip it on its head.
And you definitely have done that here in a story that at its heart is really the relationship of two siblings that couldn't be more different, but that have a special bond, right?
Yeah, OJ, played by Daniel Kaluuya, Emerald, played by Keke Palmer. They both represent two distinct parts of my personal relationship to the need for attention, and I think probably sort of two halves that most of us have within us. Or I would at least say that most people would think that they are an OJ or they are an Emerald. There's part of me that is Emerald, that it wants to be out there, to get the laugh, to get the appraisal, and there's another part of me that's OJ that is just very socially nervous and uncomfortable, and that's the siblinghood we're talking about here.
Hoyt Dwyer with Apple TV says, what attracts you to the use of symbolism? And he adds, and how did you approach the use of symbolism and Nope differently from your previous films?
My relationship to symbolism in my films has grown a bit in that it's become a little bit more organic how certain symbols manifest and what they mean. Um, Really, what happens over the course of a process is you find connections in things, be they shapes, colors, or sort of ways that that patterns interact with one another, and you find patterns and you draw them out, and so much of telling a story and movie making is starting with inspiration, something you don't know, and then trying to understand what it is, what you've been trying to tell yourself. So you really have to be, you have to be, you can't sort of decide what symbols are. You have to let them appear, let them show you what they are.
Lucero Calderon from Excelsior newspaper in Mexico says, I would like to know where and how you did the sounds we hear from the UFO and also the screams.
How we did the sounds and the screams. Well, okay, so Johnny Byrne is my sound guy. He's my sound designer, and he has a brilliant team. He hails from London. We started early talking about this UFO in terms of the environmental ways that you can sense something is close. That feeling of being in the presence. So first thing we started talking about was wind, and one of the things that Johnny happened to have was a library of wind, and so yeah, this was part of this project, was taking this sci-fi concept and making it as elemental and grounded and tactile as possible, and so that's where Johnny, it really excelled with that particular type of immersion.
Also, I'd like to add that the film is visually absolutely stunning, and
Thank you.
you have an amazing cinematographer. But the way you've captured using these um, IMAX cameras and large lens cameras, you've really given us a spectacle here that visually is like nothing that we've seen.
I mean, look, is a lot of credit to go around when it comes to the beauty of this movie. Ruth De Jong, our production designer, just did something in a horror film I've never seen. Hoyte van Hoytema, who you bring up, the cinematographer, is did some things in this movie that haven't been done before. And the project I brought him, the script I brought him, I said, buddy, I don't know how to pull this. There's a lot in here that's never been done, and we sat together, and he had some great ideas, and yeah, it was one of the great collaborations of my career so far.
Raul Godinez says, could you elaborate on the decision of dividing the movie into the chapters that begin with names?
I say one more time.
He would like to know if you can talk about how you divided the movie into these chapters that begin with names.
Yes, there are name cards, and without going too deep into the what that's about or why. I think part of the thing is that I think Nope feels different structurally to other films. And there are departures from traditional storytelling in it. And I felt that the name cards helped an audience know how to watch the film and to know that this was not going to be the most straightforward style narrative, that it was going to exist in a movie where you had to pay attention in a different way.
You were talking before about the sounds, but Angelique Jackson from Variety says music also plays a big part in this movie. What song came to you while you were writing it?
What song came to me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, there's a song that called "Le Vie Je Souhaite," sung by Jodie Foster, that was a 12-year-old Jodie Foster, that was a really hard to clear. It's a French song, and it was just my producer Ian Cooper went how we say balls to the walls, And it was just one of these great moments where, for whatever reason, no other song would do for this moment. You just don't know why. Maybe there's several reasons, but we fought for it, and it's just a wonderful soundtrack. Very happy to get an Exuma song on there, who is a musical legend and doesn't get a lot of play either, in my book.
Francisco Canjiano from Cinexpress Puerto Rico says, in your previous two films, you explored various social and political themes through the horror prism. For this outing, what made you venture into the science fiction game?
Well, I always feel I'm in some way in the science fiction game. Just in that, I always like to marry with a little bit of science fiction with reality of what ifness. I guess I don't know how to answer the question except to say that the genre questions get harder and harder as I go on with my career to know how to answer. I'm not offended by them, but they're harder and harder because, I think hopefully the notes that come out in these movies, and I think what happens in Nope is you get something that feels like it has a little bit of everything.
Definitely in your movies. I'm wondering what, as Jordan, genre movies and specifically horror movies, they've been with us since the dawn of cinema, and they've been successful. People love that experience of going into movie theater, that communal experience, and getting scared. Why do you think that is? And it still works today.
Oh my gosh. I mean, that's it. Because I think it's everything. I think that film is one of the ways that we address our fears. And I think that, the thing that is trickiest about fear is it's such a unpleasant emotion that we fight it as human beings and we suppress it. And I truly believe that anything that we suppress, anything that we keep down or hold down for long enough, doesn't go away. It just comes out in worse and worse ways. And there's something about getting together with a bunch of people and facing those fears in a safe way, in a way where you feel at home and you feel good at the same time. Your body needs to release that fear. You can't hold on to it. So that's why horror movies work.
Scott Orlin asks, as a student of films, he says, each of your films have been ingrained with a deep pocket of tension. But as a student, were there directors from whom you studied, or have there been films that you felt taught you tricks on how to set up tension and suspense in your own films?
Tension. Look, I think there's a lot of great ones. I think Brian De Palma has such great cinematic suspense, and the way he can sort of create a set piece where you have an understanding of the geography, you have an understanding of the timing, you have the understanding of what everyone is doing, and he can set a clock. That's something that I've admired.
On a different note, Jill Pringle from Australia says, how did Daniel react when you told him he would have to spend half the movie on a horse?
You'll have to ask him about it, but not great. No, he's great. This is what I will say is that I've never seen an actor work as hard as he did in getting the horse skills together, and it's wonderful to watch his process, because from the first day I met him on Get Out, and I said, this is I need that accent to be right though, bro. I need that accent to be. It can't have nothing. He's like, I got you, mate. I got you. I was like, I don't know if you got me, because you're not doing it yet. And then he comes and bam, best flawless, right? And so, yeah, I had trust. And when he's like, yeah, I got you. I'm gonna be a horse rider next time you see me. That's what happened.
Uh, Teresa Luxon at the Beat says, Nope feels much larger in scope. What lessons did you take from filming this feature that you'll use in the future?
There's so many lessons. I think in terms of the scope, I would just say, yeah, that there's nothing that is unachievable. I mean, and this would be a message I'd tell myself in the future, I'd tell myself in the past, and I tell anybody trying to make a film, and is that if anything is achievable in this medium, if you collaborate right, if you find the right team and work together, and you can problem solve together, I mean, you can create the most grand illusions. As we've seen, since King Kong, back when they didn't have any of the tools that we have now. You know what I mean? It's just all about innovation, and so this was my putting that to the test for myself and for my team, and was, let's see how far we can push it, and yeah, I feel like we can continue to go further.
And you definitely achieved it. Thank you so much,
Thank
Jordan.
you.
Thank you for the movie. Thank you for being with us here today. And congratulations once more.
Wonderful. Right on. Good to see you again.
Good to see you too.